Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to WDG Underground Columbus, home of the unsigned artist. I'm Zayne Richard Simpson.
And I'm Carlee J.
And you guys are listening to the Zayne and Carlee Project. First off, I want to shout out to our sponsors, ZRS Productions.
And my company, Kucht. It's not only a lifestyle, but a brand. It's a lifestyle as well.
And also the Anchor app. The Anchor app and Anchor.fm is one of our main sponsors. It's a great place to learn to make a podcast or a radio show. It's free to download, and you can make money with no minimum listenership. So check out Anchor, guys. If you guys are tuning in, you guys can tune in on our Instagram page, which is the Zayne and Carlee Project, or you can tune in on WDG Columbus Radio. That will be on Facebook. Everything live streams on there. You can check us out. If you guys miss our live stream, make sure you guys check us out on Spotify, Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, everything. You guys can...
All major platforms.
You guys can watch the videos afterwards. We throw them up for you on my website, ZayneRichardSimpson.com, and on Zayne Richard Simpson on YouTube. You'll see all the episodes from past episodes as well. So you guys check it out. Today, we're talking to our friend, Alex Kovacs. Mm-hmm. He is the owner of a company called We Are Villains.
Repping it currently. So If you're watching our live stream.
Made sure we wore our Villains gear for this one, Alex.
Yes.
He'll be calling in here in a few minutes. But thank you to everybody who's tuned in on Instagram and on Facebook. If you guys have any issues or you want to see a different angle or anything, make sure you guys check both options out. Yes. For everybody who tuned in last night, thank you guys for tuning in. We got to talk with Miss America title holder for Miss Northern Ohio, right?
Miss Northern Ohio, yeah.
Yep.
That was a really, really, really good episode, guys. She definitely shares her point of view and the importance of being good role models for the younger generation. Of course, being Miss America, Miss Northern Ohio, it's a lot of women, only women, but it should reach out for the younger generation, male and female, to be a good, be a good citizen, care about the earth, and all the wonderful things that she represents. It's just fantastic. It was a great time chatting with her.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Some of the things that she said last night, her main goal when I asked, what's your goal? Like, what do you have, next in mind? To inspire people. That's her main goal. And that's my main goal. And that's a lot of the, a trend that you'll see with a lot of the guests we have. It doesn't really matter what you do in this industry. As you start doing more and more, you'll see that one of the biggest rewards of doing what we do, whether it be TV, radio, or whatever it is, performing in front of thousands of people, it's not just for us. It's for the people. I love getting on stage in front of thousands of people because it's the way that people look at you. It's the reaction that you give them, the way that you make them feel. And that to me is just so fulfilling, and
Absolutely.
The same with creating things. So, for her to be able to go do pageants and inspire young girls to be able to follow their dreams and do what other women are doing now. And, she goes to show she has a degree in engineering, plastic, right?
Yeah, which is, not necessarily, biased in the female world,
It's also pretty uncommon.
Yeah, very uncommon is what I was saying.
She's a good-looking girl with a very rare title,
Yeah, absolutely.
Because most women who are attractive, people have a misconception of what they do. So
yeah.
I think that it's important that beautiful women these days do hold very powerful positions like that and show that not only are they pretty, but they're smart and they can do other things. So,
absolutely.
She definitely put that out there at 25 years old, and the sacrifices that she's making, she can't have a family and things like that because where she is deciding to go right now, she's not allowed to have kids or get married or anything. So, that's a huge sacrifice that she's making to be able to follow her dreams. So, tonight we'll get to talk to Alex about his company, We Are Villains, about when he started everything. I think he started in 2018 because it says 18 on here. But I don't know what that is. But I think he established it then. We're going to talk to him a little bit about why he created this company and what it means to him and, how he branded it and why he named it what he did and all that type of stuff. And we'll let him kind of tell you all that. And more importantly, what our whole segment's about is how people have been affected. If he started this before, how were things different than they are now due to COVID-19? Obviously, we're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel, and every day I've been hearing really good stuff. So we heard the other day when we were talking to Red Cup Nation that California was opening back up, which is awesome.
Yeah, that was definitely a big surprise because we literally had just said, California is closed and things are, not looking like they're going to open up there. And 5 minutes later, them saying hey, everything's opening up. That's good. It's definitely California opening up. That's definitely good news for the rest of us because
their governor is hardcore.
Yeah, they were one of the first to shut down. So that's wonderful. So
and they've been so strict with their guidelines over the last few months. Very strict,
yeah. And we've been kind of open still, and they were completely shut down. Yeah. So for them to be opening things up, hopefully that's, light for us that we can, let's all pray together right now saying that this curfew will end so we can have dinner later than 9 o'clock because I love a good, appetizer and, watching sports at a restaurant. That's so much fun.
So today, on the topic of things changing, so we heard that they'd extended the curfew here in Ohio.
We did really hear that.
Yeah, to February. But what they're doing is they're changing the curfew, and they're doing it week by week. Or I think I don't know the exact.
Opening things up slowly. So
what it's going to be is instead of 10 o'clock, they're extending the curfew to 11 o'clock for 2 weeks. And if everything goes well, then they will extend it till midnight. And they're going to do this. And then after the midnight, they're going to get rid of the curfew altogether, and everything will go back to normal. Okay. Not normal, but there's still be social.
Now?
I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, look it up. I want to know.
But
tell our listeners, will we be able to watch the game Friday night? Right? Isn't there a game?
I think so.
I don't know. You said you were going to David's.
Celtics game.
Celtics game, guys, of course.
But Let's see.
He's looking currently right now what the exact curfew changes were. I think it's tomorrow. Tomorrow's the 28th, and that's when they are announcing the decision. But it was the 27th to the 28th. I'm not sure. So hold tight, guys. We are going to check that out.
Well, let's just see. So Ohio's curfew is going to be pushed back to 11 p.m.
Woo woo. Starting. Drum roll, please.
Okay, so what's happening is because people are following the guidelines, and we have been following them, we've lowered. We had all of our hospitalizations were above 3,500 people per day, and because of that is the reason that the guidelines have been implemented in the first place. Well, we've gone 7 days with the state reported hospitalizations below 3,000. So it's supposed to be below 35. So they decided that things are the spike is starting to go down. So he said, well, Governor DeWine said that if this continues, then he announced that on Thursday we'll go to 11 p.m. curfew. So tomorrow everything goes to 11 p.m. As it stands, Ohio's curfew has already been extended twice and is set to expire January 30th, but may be eased again or wiped away entirely if the state meets the criteria. So if everybody follows the guidelines and continues to meet the criteria and wearing the masks and doing what we're supposed to do, they might wipe it all together on the 30th. Which
all right. Fingers crossed, guys.
Only a couple days. So if Ohio sees less than 25 hospitalizations consecutively for 7 days, they will completely eliminate the curfew. Completely. Which means we go back to normal, like other than the masks and social distancing. But
that's so exciting.
Stay up. Yeah, and that's awesome. I'm so happy about that.
I know that.
Now, that still obviously doesn't fix things for, DJing and concerts and stuff because there's still social distancing and all the people that they can't put into rooms and stuff like that. But at least we're moving towards stuff when they're opening things up later because right now everything closes at 10 o'clock.
They're still going to need DJs now because they've only had DJs until 11, you know what I mean, till 9.
So things are gonna start back
yeah,
up.
if you guys are looking for a job in the service industry, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to start hiring now because they had to cut people out. And
yep, exactly what it says. Shift tending, bar. So what they're going to do is pretty much everyone has a minimal staff because of the fact that they haven't only been able to be open a few hours. So everybody minimized the amount of people that they had working. Well, it looks like by extending the hours, what's that, 4 more hours? Because we close at 10 now, 11, 12, 1, 2. So we're back to 2 o'clock. 2:30, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2:30.
And they last calls at 2 o'clock. So back to 4.5 more hours, which opens up like a full shift for people, for bartending, servers. Well, most restaurants aren't open that late anyway, but they are open till like midnight. And then some bars, some places that have like Roosters and like places like that, right? B-dubs, they have bars, so they're open usually pretty late, right?
Yeah, like 1 o'clock, I believe. Gosh, it's been so long since I've worked there. I don't remember. 1 o'clock, I think. I know it's like 1. Was it 2 o'clock? It was never 2 o'clock.
I don't know.
It was 1.
But anyway, that's a good sign. So it looks like, everything, the curfew, throughout the curfew, businesses across have been asked to close their doors. People who are permitted out are only for certain necessary work as far as like going to work, medical care, social services, and necessary food. Restaurants were permitted to stay open for carry-out and delivery options. But the bars and gyms and everything was meant to be closed. So gyms that were 24 hours like Planet Fitness and other 24-hour facilities changed their hours to close at 10 or 11 p.m., which that will be lifted. So they can go back to 24 hours too. It's not just affecting bars, it's everybody. So anything that's been limited, they could change it back now. So that's good. Now,
Taco Bell.
Hopefully that'll change hours for like how people have limited their hours, like grocery stores and like the gyms, not only closing early, but like the way that they do all their limited hours and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Kroger closes at 9, 10 o'clock now, whereas before, it's midnight. And then Meijer, 24 hours. That's, those are necessities. We were literally at Meijer every night. Meijer lovers.
Pretty much, judging by what we're saying, we should
be good to party Thursday night, y'all.
Who is USAA made for? It's made for him, a veteran who...
Let's see if we can play a little clip here for a minute.
Honorably served.
Not just party, but if everybody continue to wear your masks, continue to follow the guidelines, and let's get this...
and it's made for her. She's serving now. We also make USAA for military spouses and their kids. Become a member. Get an insurance quote today.
Oh, we're waiting for Alex to call. Let's play this clip real quick.
The numbers of overall cases going down is good. However, it does not mean we are out of the woods yet.
The Health Collaborative's Krista Heisen feels some optimism as new COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations decrease across Ohio. It's a trend her colleague Tiffany Mattingly is seeing in hospitals.
In December, we were seeing 70, 80 admissions a day, and just in our region. And right now, we're seeing maybe 40, 50, 60 admissions a day.
The Ohio Department of Health says the state has fallen below 3,500 hospitalizations for 6 days. Officials warn there are still high capacity levels.
Basically, 1 in 6 patients
this is in
Ohio are COVID-19.
2,500.
Governor Mike DeWine says if those numbers keep decreasing,
this should continue. We hope this is going to continue.
He'll loosen the curfew to 11 p.m. Thursday. Here's how. DeWine says if hospitalizations drop below 3,500 for 7 days, the curfew will move to 11 p.m. for 2 weeks. If that number drops below 3,000 for 7 days, the curfew will move to midnight for 2 weeks. And if the number drops below 2,500 for 7 days, the curfew will be lifted. Doctors say 2,500 is 3 times the peak census during flu season. It's important to note a rise in hospitalizations means revisiting restrictions, making precautions important as ever.
Right now, we don't want to have to divert any patients away. That has not happened in our region.
So pretty much, like they said, pretty much what I read and told you guys. If everybody maintains what they've been doing and does what they can to stay healthy, and we can keep the hospitalizations down, then we can get this cut off. So, and the other thing is, if we can get this for 7 days below 25, they'll just drop the curfew altogether. So, but as they said, the flu season is making it spike a little bit more because now you got the flu and corona. So,
yeah, just stay healthy, guys. We definitely don't want to see anyone or, hear of anyone hitting the hospital due to flu or COVID. So, use your hand sanitizer, wear your mask, social distance as much as you can. I know we all want to get back to some sort of normalcy. We definitely, we know we can do it. We've been doing it. So let's just keep it up and, yeah, let's do this together. Let's stay safe and strong together, and we'll get through this and get back to some normal life. And I know, we've all been missing it, so.
But yeah, it's good. Everybody stay safe and let's keep things moving.
Yeah, so on a totally different note, Halsey's pregnant. Halsey is pregnant. The baby dad is unknown.
You don't know who it is?
No, but I hope it's G-Eazy.
It's not, for sure. As much as they've talked crap about each other, I don't think that's who it is. But I guess you never know.
It's not.
But
it probably won't be. But if it was,
they're not going to tell you who it is because it's probably just they want anybody to know.
Probably.
But I did see that I did see on Instagram or Facebook or something. She posted some pregnant pictures and said surprise. So
yeah, and it had like a little rainbow. So sadly, I'm sure she had lost a baby before. Yay! Sounds like Alex is calling.
All right, let's see. Hello.
Hey, Zayne, this is Alex.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? You're live on WDG right now.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
How you doing, brother? How's everything going?
Not too bad. Yeah, dude, just crazy busy.
Yeah, I bet, man. You seem like you're busy all the time.
Yeah, it's nonstop, bro. It's a good thing. It's overwhelming sometimes,
definitely.
but I'm not going to complain.
That's good. Absolutely. Especially right now, it's a good thing. If you can stay busy during this this craziness and this pandemic, I guess that's a positive.
Yeah, definitely, dude.
So, well, I guess I'll start. I'll have you introduce yourself to everybody, all of our listeners, and tell them who you are and what you do, and a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, my name is Alex Kovacs. I started We Are Villains at the very beginning of 2018. I started originally having somebody else print my product because I started with like $300. So I went to a local screen print shop with some really wild sketches that I drew up in my sketch pad. And I even kind of laughed at myself because they were like, I was just like, what in the hell are these? Like, these people are not going to take me seriously. Luckily, they did. And they started printing my merch. And I would get stuff and like I wouldn't even like take stuff out of it for myself. I would like take the money I had in my pocket and like buy the t-shirts and hoodies off myself and just put it all back in. And I did that for a while until I had enough money to buy some of my own equipment. But at the time it was heat press. I didn't have enough for screen printing equipment, so I got a heat press and started buying like heat transfers from a company online. And I did that for a hot minute. I did that for probably a year and saved up enough money and bought my own screen printing equipment. And that was a big jump for me because I knew nothing about it. Like I knew nothing. Like when I first started, I could barely like open my laptop and turn it on. Like I was not tech savvy. Yeah, I was not tech savvy in any way. Like, so there was a lot of hurdles for me in the beginning. And I bought the equipment and I remember it all getting shipped to my house, and I just started YouTubing and like just messing up a lot of things. Like that's really how it started for me, was just with the screen printing side of it. It was just so many mess ups. Like it was such a hurdle to try to learn how to do something like that. I was like 30 at the time, I was 30 years old with a child in a house, and like there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It was like a lot of pressure because I originally came from sales, like corporate sales. So coming into doing my own thing, with a child already and a lot of overhead, it was super stressful. But I think that gave me the drive of like, I didn't have a plan B. Like there was never a backup plan. It was always just like, this is what I want to do. And this is what I'm going to do. Like, there's no other option. There was no like, well, if this doesn't work, I'm going to do this. Like that was never a thought in my mind. So I just continued to push and continued to learn and started to network with a lot of really good people, and just the business really grew from there.
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of how you got to do it, and that's what we kind of always talk about, is having a plan B sometimes turns into your plan A, and your plan A ends up being what you wanted it to be. It ends up becoming more of a hobby. When you put all your effort into something, I feel like you are way more, it's way easier to succeed because you're putting everything you have into it. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely vouch for that on my part of it, because I wasn't using any energy or focus on anything else, like that's all it was. Like that's all I focused on, and put all my resources into it. So I didn't have time to even think about a backup plan.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And another thing is I tattooed my hands and my neck pretty early on into the game. And a lot of people were like, oh, well, you're gonna doom yourself. There's nothing you can do. You do that, it's permanent, blah, 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 all that BS. And to me, that was kind of like, I didn't see that as a bad thing. I saw it as the ships that I didn't want to be on were sailing away.
Yep.
And I was okay with it. You know what I mean? Like I was closing doors myself in order to focus on the door that I wanted to go through.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah. I love the motivational speaking that you have going on over here. Like, I love how you're telling your story, as well as kind of raising those up around you that are listening, us. And I like the way that you're telling your life story and your goals and stuff. It definitely inspires those that are listening.
Yeah. And like I mentioned earlier too, having my son was a big turning point for me. It wasn't like, I wasn't really like getting into trouble or like, you know, being bad per se before him, but I kind of wasn't as focused until, you know, once as cliche as it sounds, like when my son was born, like my eyes opened up for the first time legitimately, like knowing that, okay, well now it's not just about me, you know, it's if I do certain things, it's going to affect him too. So that was a huge part of my push as well.
How old is your son?
He's 5. He turned 6 in May. So
that's exciting. We have a 5-year-old too.
6. He's 6.
Oh, he's 6 now. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a 6-year-old.
Yeah. So you guys know exactly what I mean then.
Yeah.
And
yeah, absolutely.
With the last year with the pandemic and schools being remote and me being, you know, his mom works a regular job. So with me having my own business, he was with me 90% of the time. So trying to run my business and take care of my son and make sure he's on his laptop and, you know, just it's been a real challenge, you know, from that end of the business. It was a real test. I believe it was a real test in order to see how bad do you want this, Alex? You know, like, do you want this like you say you do, or are you just saying it?
That's crazy, man. And it definitely is. It's definitely hard and makes things difficult. You know, it's, and I'm glad. Well, not glad, but it's funny to hear that from somebody else, because when I started my company and doing things on my own and, you know, acting and doing all the things I do, I was by myself with my son, and it was and it's just when you have to balance a whole bunch of things with a kid and make sure you can take care of them, yourself, and be able to focus on, you know, making a successful business, making yourself successful, definitely is a huge challenge. So, you know, that's awesome, man, that you're able to balance all that out. So I want to ask you, well, obviously you said you did this in 2018. I figured you did when I saw 18 on all the stuff. So, what made you think of the name We Are Villains?
So growing up, like I was always kind of like an outcast in a way. Like I'm 33 now. So whenever I was a kid, like skateboarding and like heavy metal and like motocross and all that stuff was kind of looked at as like, it wasn't cool back then. You know what I mean? It was kind of like villainized and outcasted in a way where like, if you didn't play team sports, like you were nothing. You didn't have any talent. You didn't do anything. So I was already kind of grouped into that category. And I played guitar, you know, I painted my fingernails. I was always kind of like, everybody saw me as like the villain or like the heathen in a way. So it was something I always carried with me since I was a kid, you know, just running around being the bad kid of the neighborhood in a way, I guess you could say.
That's awesome. Yeah, I could totally relate.
You know, on that same note, I wanted to kind of paint the picture of not every villain is necessarily a bad guy. You know, a villain could just be somebody that's different, that's looked at differently, that could be portrayed as a bad guy. Right. You know, you might be a villain just because you don't follow the norm. Yeah. And that's a lot of what my designs are based around.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I could definitely relate to that a lot. I know exactly what you're saying about.
I can see why you guys
how things were
kind of connected, because
that's why I love your thing. That's why I like your line so much, is because it totally relates to exactly what you said. You know, like when I grew up, it was all about Metal Militia and stuff like that for me.
Yeah, I was heavy into that.
Heavy, yeah. I was a vocalist for a metal band, Metal Militia. So like, it's a huge, like, you don't see stuff like this now. You don't, and like the stuff you do, like all the Metal Militia stuff, that's all I had, and they don't really, Metal Militia kind of fell off because it wasn't that big of a thing except for people that like that type of stuff. So to see stuff like your line and stuff come out to me is like awesome, because that's the type of stuff I love. So I'm like, man, and you have so many people supporting it, which is amazing, you know?
Yeah, dude, it's sometimes I sit there and it's a surreal feeling of like, maybe I am doing something right. You know what I mean? Like maybe I'm doing okay, you know, because I see the support that I get, and sometimes it doesn't resonate with me until I'm like laying there at night in bed after like a 15-hour day of just straight hustle. And I'm like, all these people are messaging me, and I'm like, man, you know, maybe I am doing something right.
That's awesome.
Outside looking in, you definitely are. You definitely are.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. That means a lot.
So do you have a brick and mortar? Or are you wanting...
I do not. So what I do is mainly sell online.
Okay.
But I also open up like resellers. So like if you have like a tattoo shop or a skate shop or whatever kind of shop, it doesn't
Like pop-ups.
have to be that. Any kind of shop that wants to sell my stuff in their brick and mortar, I do like a reseller program.
That's awesome.
You know, where they buy it at a certain percentage off, and then they can resell it in their store for as long as it doesn't undersell my website. They can sell it for whatever they want, given their demographic.
That's awesome.
Wow, yeah.
So I've been doing more and more of that, and I think I want to grow that part of the business.
Yeah. I mean, other than, you know, kind of doing that reselling type, or would you ever want to open up a We Are Villains store, brick and mortar?
I don't know. You know, like the thought of it, like off the rip, the thought of it's really cool. But I think like the more I think into it, especially like going forward in the next 5-10 years, I don't know how much brick and mortar is really going to be a good investment, you know, with everything being online and everything being kind of closed and like nobody really knows what's going on with the pandemic in the future, you know, so it's kind of a scary thought now. It's a cool thing. Like it seems cool, but I don't know if I would ever actually do it.
Yeah, I could definitely see things being harder. I mean, 95% of the time I buy my merch and stuff offline.
Online, yeah.
I buy more stuff on Amazon than I think I've bought in a store in the last 10 years. So, I mean, you know, between websites and, you know, Amazon, stuff like that, I do see brick and mortars potentially not being as successful, but it just depends, you know, and the pandemic definitely could be a huge way on that because with everything being closed and not knowing what can open. I mean, there's people who open businesses that were doing really well for a small amount of time and then they got shut down and it heavily affected them because of that, you know. E-commerce, though, you don't got to worry about being shut down at least.
Yeah, definitely. And especially like the way that, you know, I have my stuff set up and everything and, you know, it's just me, you know,
that's good.
There's nobody else that really comes into the shop. There's nothing, you know, I follow sterile procedures in order to, you know, get orders in and out. And, you know, other than that, I don't have to worry about a crew or anybody being contaminated because it's just, you know, it's just me.
So do you have like I know you don't have a brick and mortar, but do you have like a store, like a place that you do all this, like an office, or do you do it out of your house, or how do you do that? Because you obviously have screen printers now.
Yeah, so I originally had like a little office space, and it was just getting to the point where it was just more of an overhead than it was anything. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I got to figure something out. You know, I have my son a lot. Like it's hard, you know, taking him to school and daycare and going to the office and working all day, coming back and getting him, taking him home or finding a sitter or having my son's mom watch him and come back to the office and work and then go back home. And then it was difficult. So I transitioned, I built my basement into my own screen printing shop. I turned my entire basement into my own screen printing shop. And I'm like, you know what? This isn't ideal, but this is what I have and this is what I have to work with. So
that's awesome.
You know, this is how I'm going to go about it. So I started doing it that way, like I'd say about a year ago. And then I outgrew that within months. And I'm like, shit, you know, like what's next? So I have a 2-car garage at my house. And I'm like, do I pull my motorcycle and car into my 2-car garage, you know, or do I back that stuff out and turn this into my shop? You know, so that's what I did. I turned my 2-car garage into my screen printing shop. I insulated it. I built it. I thought I planned it out a little bit more than the basement, you know, because at the time I moved it to the basement, I wasn't that busy. I was busy, but I wasn't that busy. But it was like 3 months after I moved it into the basement that it really started to pop. And I'm like, oh no, like this isn't going to work. Like this is chaos. So I planned the shop out in the garage a little bit more like, okay, stuff's going to come in this door. It's going to go in a clockwise motion. You know, like the sizes are going to get printed on here. It's going to go over onto the shelf. It's going to get screen printed, the designs onto it. It's going to go through the dryer. It's going to come out over here, get folded and bagged and shipped out of the other door.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I've been working with lately, and it's been working pretty well.
Where are you located?
I've struggled with keeping up with orders is on the back end of things, all the supplies, you know, the blank garments, the inks, everything that I need kind of just completely went. It just kind of it disappeared, you know, and I was like, oh no, you know, like, what am I going to do? And it slowly started to come back, but things that were $39.99 are now $89.99, you know, because supply and demand.
Yeah.
So
I can see
that's
that.
something I've been battling a little bit lately, and that's why I've recently added. I didn't want to increase the price on everything on my website, but I got rid of the free shipping and added the $5 flat rate shipping to make up for some of that expense,
Right.
Yeah.
Try to be fair to the consumer, but also take care of myself at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good idea, and I think that's definitely a good way to do it.
Yeah, if I'm buying a shirt that I really like for $25 and it's got a $5 flat rate shipping, and I'm out the door at $30 for something I really want, the way I looked at it is like, that's never going to change my mind. But if I say I'm buying a shirt for 25 and the shipping's 14, you're like, geez,
Yeah,
I might change your mind then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. So, Alex, where are you from originally, and where do you live right now?
I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. So
Okay.
I spent a little bit of my childhood in Baltimore, Maryland. That's where I was born. That's where I grew up.
I've been there before.
And yeah, so I still take my son back there. I still take him to the Inner Harbor there in Baltimore.
Nice. I went to like a music festival, Moonrise, there once.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, it's a unique place, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But as of now, I'm about 30 minutes north of Pittsburgh. I live in a little town called Sarver. I don't even know if you would call it a town. It's all fields and woods. I'm kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but that's it. That's like kind of what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. It's zen. It's calm. It's nothing really happens there, and it's a nice change.
Yeah, my family lives like 45 minutes from Pittsburgh. I'm not necessarily sure what direction, but like if you know where Steubenville is.
What's it called? Steubenville?
Steubenville?
Steubenville, Ohio?
Yeah, that's where my family's
Yeah,
from.
I know where that is.
Yep. So not too far from you, I guess,
No,
maybe?
no,
Probably
yeah,
not.
I think I'm under an hour from Youngstown.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Nice.
it's awesome. Yeah, I was just curious. But what do you have?
Oh, yeah. So if you were to, as you've been talking, you have definitely added some tips and pointers and stuff, but if you could specifically give those who are inspired to start their own clothing line or, get some merch out there, would you give them some advice?
What advice would you give?
Yeah, honestly, my very first piece of advice would be if you're trying to grow your presence online, keep it real with people. Be authentic. Don't try to be something that you're not. I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They try to flex a lot, like, look at what I have. They need to be humble. Even if you have a lot, people don't want to see that necessarily. You know what I mean? Like, not a lot of people can relate to that. You want to keep it real and be relatable with people and be humble. That's where I would start. And then when you get into like the more of the marketing side of it, put the work in, and don't be afraid to show your ups and show your downs and really push yourself as a person if you're trying to push a product. You know what I mean? Because if you're real and authentic and people can relate to you, they're going to relate more to your products too. And network with good people. Like find a good niche or a good demographic and network with those people, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
I like that. Thank you for that.
So, one of the main things that we're doing right now with all the people that we are interviewing for this kind of segment we're doing with WDG Underground Columbus. So we actually don't live in Columbus. We actually live in Cincinnati, and we are out here partnered up with a radio station doing our show. And we're doing these 12 episodes, and each person we're bringing on, we're asking them, we kind of get to know you a little bit and how you started We Are Villains and kind of why you started it and how you came up with the name and everything and kind of how you operated before. So now that COVID-19 has become, a prominent thing going on in the world, how has it affected you? I know you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I just wanted to ask you a little further in depth. And how has it affected you, professionally and personally? And how has it affected you positive and negative ways? What are the most positive ways you would say it's affected you, and the most negative ways that the pandemic has affected you?
Well, I would say start off with the positivity. I would say the positive ways that it's affected me have been just teaching myself to continue to go, even though it seems like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. You know, like every time you turn around, there's a new restriction or there's new guidelines you have to follow or it'd be very easy to quit. But I think you can condition yourself to just get over anything. So it's conditioned me to just keep going and keep going and keep going. So I feel like that's in a very bad situation to try to pull some positivity from it. I feel like that would be some of the most positive things I could pull from it, you know, realistically. Is it just, if you're a fighter, it's just going to make you stronger. And if you're not a fighter, it can teach you how, you know, you can learn from it, you know, from bad can come good.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
Negatively, honestly, like, not to sound cliche, but I really don't even try to think about like the negativity of it, other than the realistic side of it. As you know, raw materials have gone up, blanks have gone up, shipping rates have gone up. I know that UPS and USPS loses a lot of packages. Not that it's necessarily their fault, but I think there's more of a systemic thing to that. You know, just something's affected that's affecting them, you know, in turn for packages to just be all over the place. You know, a package that would take 2 to 3 days might take 2 to 3 weeks.
Wow,
you know, because it gets thrown into a bin and forgot about, and there's 1,000 bins there, you know. So I would say that would be a negative outtake on it, would just be the prices of things, the shipping, and the all-out chaos just around, you know, based around the whole situation.
Yeah, it's definitely, I could definitely see that being a challenge, especially having it change your, you know, the price on things for you, and then how much time it takes for people, because obviously people are ordering a lot of stuff and want to get products, and now you have a delay, and then you have a delay probably getting stuff to you that you need to be able to create products as well, on top of it being more expensive. So
everyone's staying inside and ordering everything online. So
right off the bat, it was definitely like a positive take from it was everybody was at home buying stuff. But I think when reality hit more of, this isn't going to be a 2 to 3 month thing, this is going to be around for a while, I think people started to draw back a little bit, you know, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be spending all my money. You know, so that was a little bit of a hurdle to get over.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like at least in the interim, it had to be, you know, partially beneficial for someone like you who has strictly e-commerce, because you don't have to worry about dealing with the brick and mortar and losing that stuff, or, you know, people not being able to come and see face to face what you have, because they are able to pull up your website and order what they want. And especially when everybody's sitting at home looking on their phones. I mean, what better time for anybody who is solely based on internet or e-commerce to, you know, to get a leg up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So you have a lot of restrictions in Pittsburgh right now, or out where you are, I guess.
Yeah, you know, there was a lot of restrictions. Like, I had some friends in from California, and that was when they did another like full shutdown. Like the week or two that they were here, they did another full shutdown, and it was very difficult then. They've kind of lifted some things, and things are starting to open back up again, and everyday life is getting a little bit easier. But yeah, like you were saying before, being so e-commerce based, you know, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing for my business from a business standpoint. It didn't really affect that too much. I think it was the people worried about never going back to work again, so they stopped spending as much money. Was whenever I saw an influx.
Yeah, I could definitely see like it's a catch-22, because you have that sit at home, nothing else to do, buy stuff, but then at the same time, people start running out of money because a lot of people weren't working, and even people who were living off unemployment for a little while, that ended up going away for most people in most states. So I think that was one of the most frustrating things to a lot of people during that, is the fact that, you know, yeah, it's nice to be able to have a little downtime, you know, spend some time with your family and whatnot, but to not know when you're going to be able to get back to reality and get back to working, whatever you may do. I think that was one of the craziest things, and people still are dealing with that on, you know, pretty heavily. And it's crazy, like we talked about before. It doesn't really matter where you're at, like how big you are, how much money you have, what you do. Everybody was affected by this. Everybody from the top to the bottom, whether it was positive or negative. It's affected so many people, so many people in so many different ways. So I'm glad to hear that you had a lot of positive and you were able to stay positive. More importantly, and I think that was and is right now definitely something that people need to hear and focus on. That there's positives out of this. You guys got to think with the glass half full, and people like Alex and other guests that we've had on here. You guys just got to remember, like, there is light in the tunnel, and stay positive and keep pushing what you want to do, so that when this all ends, you come out on top, not behind.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, and kind of like what I was saying before, like, there is no plan B. There's no second option. So it's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to lay down and quit, or are you just going to keep going? There's really no other options. You can lay down and quit, or you can keep going. Now, like, some people might mistake that for, there's nothing wrong with taking a break. There's some days where I'll go in the shop and I'll be in there for 20 minutes and I'll say, you know what? I'm done with this for today. I'll shut everything down and I'll leave for the day and come back, and reset. That's different than just quitting.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I definitely like to make sure that people understand that, like, taking time to yourself and taking breaks is like a necessity. It's a good thing.
Yeah, you definitely have to. You definitely have to have that to be sane. If you don't get sleep or have a little bit of downtime or spend time with your family, your son, your daughters, your kids, it might drive you a little crazy. So I definitely think that is a good thing for people to be able to differentiate, separate, like not doing anything and taking a break here and there, taking a little moment to themselves.
Yeah, and for the majority of the customers that I have, 90% of them are super understanding and they're super cool, but you'll always have customers that, they'll place an order and within 10 minutes they're like, hey, why hasn't my order shipped? So you have to stay, you have to be somewhat understanding, from their point of view, that they don't understand. They might not understand how your business operates, and most of the time, like, a nice positive email and a little bit of an explanation of the company, kind of makes people realize, like, oh shit, this is just one dude doing this all by himself during a pandemic, and he's not quitting. He keeps pushing, and most people are understanding, so you got to try to not let those negative things ruin your day per se, because you could get an email sometimes, and I'm sure you can relate, that you'll open up and it'll try to ruin your day.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I mean, I think being a business owner and stuff like that is it makes it harder because when you don't own businesses or you're not in a limelight or anything like that, it's so easy to just be like, F you, whatever, and you don't have to deal with it. But when you are a person who's in a limelight or a business owner or something like that, you have to always make sure that you are taking care of the people that support what you do and help you get to that level. And it is frustrating at times because you're like, oh man, and I guarantee, you've had those moments where you're just like, damn. But that's what weeds out the people that don't do this stuff and that don't do it well, is people who can push on and drive through and not let it bring them down.
Yeah, exactly. And always take that high road and that positive road when you're replying to customers, even if it's a nasty customer.
Yeah.
Never stoop to that level. And always, like, I've always been 110% about customer service, because at the end of the day, without customers, you don't have a business.
Yep. Yeah, customer service is everything.
Yeah, definitely agree. So, like, I have seen a couple of your stuff and styles through, Zayne wearing them, and then a couple of things he's bought me, and I
love the little villain stuff, by the way.
The cute little
that hoodie I got for my son, that's awesome.
Yeah, dude, that was an idea that I had for a while, and I never went with it because I was just kind of like, I saw how much the blanks cost, and I'm like, man, I'm going to feel, in order for me to make the margin I need to make, these are going to have to be at a certain price point, and I'm just like, I know how kids are,
Yeah.
and how they wear things. So I kind of held off on that for a little while, and then I was like, you know what? Everybody's asking me for this. I have a 5-year-old. Like, I'm going to make him stuff and see how it goes over and like make sure the quality's there and everything's good. It was uncharted waters for me. So I went and did that, and I'm like, dude, this is actually really cool. Like everywhere I go, my people are like, dude, what is this little villain stuff? And we know you have like, you know, villains, but what is it? I'm like, this is something I've been working on for a while. And it gained a lot of interest. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. You know, so that was another cool little app, you know, because it kind of is like an in-your-face, like it kind of is like an in-your-face brand. So I had to be able to tone it down a little for the little villains, you know what I mean? But still have that villainous aspect to it.
Yeah, and I mean, especially like little boys, being, you know, just specifically talking about little boys, you know, us having boys, but there a lot of them are into the superheroes, and like, you know, you never really talk about the villains much. Like no one's walking around with, I don't even know because I don't watch Marvels and stuff, but like the villain of the thing, you know what I mean? Like no one's walking around with those action figures and stuff. But after you've kind of explained what We Are Villains means, like little villains, it's just really cute, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, a lot of people they dress their kids similar to the way that they dress. Like, you know, I know my son dresses a lot like I do. You know, he wears little Vans and little black jeans and stuff. So it's cool to have that option for kids. Like, oh man, they have a hoodie that, you know, you can buy for your son or your daughter or whatever. So it's awesome that you created that line as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it was definitely uncharted waters for me, and I'm glad I did it because, like you said, it's really cool to look over and see your kid or somebody else's kid, you know, wearing that style like we wear.
Yeah,
you know, and that's just
absolutely, yeah.
Cool.
You definitely don't see it that often, so I definitely think it's really unique and cool.
Yeah.
And another thing that I always have used is like most heroes were once villains, and most villains were once heroes. You know, so like even the villains, like some, you know, being the bad guy per se, the bad guy in the story. A lot of times there's a really cool backstory.
Yeah.
To why somebody might be a villain.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Like,
kind of what I was getting at when I was trying to talk about the heroes thing, but I didn't have a villain to like put that with. So like I kind of was like getting lost in translation there. But yeah, I like that, you know, kind of point of view in that. If you could define your fashion style, what would you say it be like? Would you say like an inspiration of like the Metal Militia, or would you say, you know, how would you define?
What's your biggest inspiration to what you do, I guess is what you're trying to ask, right?
Well, just like how he would define his type of fashion.
Probably from whenever I was like a teenager, and it was like PacSun. And it was like Metal Militia and like Volcom and
DC.
RVCA and like kind of like the action sports.
The old school PacSun.
Yeah.
PacSun used to be so dope, dude. And now PacSun, like, it's just so vibrant. It's like, you know, to each his own. There's nothing wrong with it, but, you know, it's what you're describing exactly what, you know, that was PacSun. And then you walk in it nowadays, it's like, what is this? It's not anywhere near the same as it used to be.
Yeah, it's not like the action sports, like, you know, motocross rider or the hockey player, like I guess you could say it as like the bad boys of the industry.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of like where I went with the clothing, and like more like up to date inspirations would be like Lurking Class or, you know, Sketchy Tank, like those kind of brands that are just kind of like, we're going to put whatever we want on a shirt, you know, within reason.
Right.
And, you know, if this shit's cool, if it's a Grim Reaper smoking a joint in a hearse, you know, it's saying get in, you know, it's like, that's cool to me. You know, it's kind of like you're just going to embrace like the inner you, you know, like.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That's important too, to put that out there and portray that.
That's why like every one of my designs has a meaning. It's something that came to my mind while I was doing something, or like this will sound strange, but a lot of times like I'll dream of like weird things. And I'll wake up and I'll be like, dude, that's like a really cool design idea. And I'll put it in my notes. And I have notes the whole way back from when I started my company, just pages of notes of ideas, you know, things I might have used, things I might have never used, things that I'm going to use, you know, just the design hasn't come to my mind yet, but the saying is there. So if you've noticed that with like a lot of my designs, there's usually a saying with it, you know, behind the design, you know, that kind of defines the design itself.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us about everything. Maybe one day we can actually have you in a studio, if ever we're allowed to. But no, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about everything. Your company's awesome, and that's awesome. Like, you have a great story behind it and how you created everything, and I think it's important for other people to get to hear that too. And one of the main things for me, I know, is to inspire people, and I love to talk to other people who are doing the same. Everybody who we brought on this show, you included, are very inspirational in what you guys do. You guys push hard and push boundaries to show that no matter what, you can do what you want to do, create what you want to create, and you don't let anything or anyone stand in your way. And, a lot of people just don't think that's real. But this is now episode 9.
Definitely.
Episode 9, and we've proved 9 different people have proved that is a real thing. It's a real thing. So.
Yeah,
thank you.
Touch on something else real quick before we go.
Yeah.
Another thing that I try to inspire people with is my family didn't have a lot growing up. So it was it's one of those stories where it's literally like you kind of come from nothing in a sense. And even to back that up a little bit more, in high school, I graduated with a 1.7 GPA. And that was back in 2005, and where everybody was like, you need to go to college. That's the mindset was college. Like, you don't go to college, you're screwed,
don't do anything.
in a sense.
Yep.
Yeah, so I had that drilled into my brain, all of high school. Like, oh man, I'm doomed. Like, there's nothing. I know what I'm capable of, but back then there wasn't the internet like there was now. There wasn't social media like there is now. Like, there was no way for you to really get out there unless you went to college and you got a normal job. So that's a little bit of inspiration, not to tell people, hey, go do bad in school and you can still be successful. But it is possible. It all matters, what the drive and the heart that you have inside, and just, never quit. As cliche as that sounds, most of the successful people that I know come from similar situations, and those situations taught them to never quit. They never had the option to quit.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I feel like, we're around the same age. I feel like that is maybe just, it's something that I was the same for me growing up, is the college thing, and my parents saying that. And it was just everything was always reverted back to, if you don't go to school, you're not going to do anything. But now, especially people our age, you see more than ever entrepreneurs. Everyone has created their own, done their things on their own. And I think that's awesome that you said that, because I think about that all the time. That's tons of people these days are creating their own, whatever they do, whether they're a musician or they have a clothing line or whatever it may be. People every day are proving that, I'm not like you said, not saying that it's unnecessary if that's what you want to do and you want to take the education route. That's great, but you don't have to. And if you don't, you still can be successful. You can still be very successful.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, 100%, man. Like I was saying earlier, just if I could leave this on any kind of note, I would just say be authentic in your pursuit. Just always be authentic. Keep it real with people and just be yourself and push yourself. Push yourself as a brand.
Nice.
I like that.
Zayne would always say, you're a can of Red Bull.
I said, are you a can of Red Bull or a can of Monster? What do you want people to pick up the shelf? What do you want people to pick off the shelf? Do you want people to pick up your can or someone else's can? You got to market yourself like you're what you want to be, the product that's lifted off that shelf. So that's why I've always carried myself that way, because at the end of the day, especially for somebody like me, I'm a brand. It's either people come for me or they go for somebody else. I got to make sure people buy my can off the shelf. So I totally relate, man. Totally relate. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, again, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
And if you want to shout out your social media real quick for everybody so we can make sure everybody gives you a follow. And if you guys don't have any We Are Villains gear, make sure you get some and check out the website.
Yeah, I appreciate that, guys. Thanks for having me, and it means a lot. The kind words and the support means the world to me.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Alrighty, guys. Well, you guys have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, share your social media with our listeners and your website.
Oh, okay. I missed that part.
You're good.
My personal page is @_Alex Villains, and then my business page is @_We Are Villains, and that's WEARE VILLAINS. And then the website is www.thatvillainlife.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you very much again, man. I'll talk to you soon, and thanks for being a guest, man. I wish you the best of luck. Keep grinding it out, and like you said, don't give up, man. Keep it going.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
For sure. You too. Peace out, brother.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well.
Wow.
Once again,
so inspirational, man.
Once again, like I tell you guys every day on here, and I tell Carlee every day when I'm not on the radio, don't give up, because I have what? This is episode 8. It's not episode 9. Whatever. We're 8 or 9. Either way, it's episode 8. Yeah, it's episode 8. Either way, we've had 8 people.
Well,
we've had 8 people on here.
Our first episode was just us,
and we had 2 people on here. Okay, yeah, I guess it is. Well, anyway. We've now had 8 people on here to prove exactly what I say every day, to testify to what I say. That if you don't have a plan B, it doesn't matter, because your plan A can be your plan.
That's the plan.
If you work your ass off every single day and you don't give up, you will make it. You will succeed.
I love that. I've actually never heard anyone put it in that like specific way, saying it like, but there is no plan B.
Don't you see now? Because I
know you're over here looking at me.
I was, because every single day I say that to you, and I know you give me the same because you come from a different background than I do.
I know.
But now I've had musicians and a business owner.
Honey, I believe in you.
Actress.
I am your #1 fan, and I believe in you, and I don't make you create a plan B, because there hasn't been and there won't be. And I'm ready for plan A.
I know. I'm just saying, I just want you to realize, you included, anybody can do anything they want to, because
Thank you.
It's literally, we have all these people proving it. It's not.
I mean, talking a lot, like definitely talking with him a lot really, I know helps my coached. But
well, anyway,
we ran over today, guys.
A little bit, but
sorry, but not sorry. We've had a great conversation, and we're just hanging out.
Well, thank you guys very much once again for tuning in to the Zayne and Carlee Project, episode 7 or 8. I don't remember.
It's 9.
It's 9, whatever. Anyway, no, for real. Thank you guys. Thank you, Alex Kovacs. We appreciate you, man. If you guys, for real, if you don't have any Villains gear, make sure you guys check it out.
Go ahead, check out mine.
Check out the Villains gear. Let me, there we go. There's Carlee over there repping hers.
It's a crop top.
Definitely check it out if you haven't. He's got awesome stuff, and like we were saying, I mean, I like it so much because it relates to exactly the type of style I've liked since high school.
I was mind blown when he was saying that.
Dude, me and Alex relate so much, and it's awesome to hear, because I did not realize until talking to him.
Like, you guys connected, via social media and all that stuff, but
because of his brand, though.
Yeah, to go and just to chat with him, it's crazy the way that you connect with people without really knowing that you connect with people, and then getting to talk to them a little bit. You're like, this is why the world kind of brought me to you.
Yeah.
I was introduced to your brand via however you found We Are Villains, to find someone that you relate with so much. I was like,
literally what he's saying, I was like, man, that's my life. I was in a band and
wore the black nail polish, rocked the metal militia.
I didn't do the whole nail polish too much.
Eyeliner?
I did do eyeliner.
Okay. Eyeliner is
long hair, all the whole thing behind it. So I definitely can attest to what he's saying, and I totally relate. So anyway, it's a great brand. Make sure you guys check it out. Shout out to ZRS Productions, Coached, Carlee's brand.
Yes, Coached, and the Anchor app, or anchor.fm. If you want to do a podcast like the Zayne and Carlee Project, download the Anchor app. It's free. You don't have to have any listenership, and they will sponsor you. So,
and you can get paid.
Yeah, you can get paid. So definitely download that. Thank you guys so much for listening. We've had a fantastic episode. For it to be episode 9, we've grown so much as a radio show / podcast. And I thank you all for being here and supporting us, and continue doing you and follow your dreams, because we want to see you guys succeed just as much as we're seeing all these other people succeeding. So wear your mask. Stay safe.
I know there's a lot of people on here who watch that went to the Ohio Media School. We have done this show on here for what, 2 weeks now? This is week 3.
Mm-hmm.
And just because I'm a graduate from here and I have some stuff behind me, you guys can do the same thing. So keep that in mind. Like, it started right here at the Ohio Media School. All these celebrity guests, all the stuff I get to do, the DJing, the acting stuff, it all started right here at the Ohio Media School. So if you guys who are from the Ohio Media School are watching this, keep that in mind. Whether you go to the Ohio Media School or you go to Ohio State or whatever, if you go to school and you don't try to perfect your craft and don't try to do something to utilize the skills you've been given, then obviously it was a waste of time. But that's with any school. You know, there's people who give reviews and stuff, and I've heard before, like, oh, I went to the Ohio Media School and I didn't really get anything out of it. Well, you get out what you put in. So if you guys really want to see what happens, whether it be at the Ohio Media School or anywhere else, just put in the effort that you want to get out of it, because you are spending a lot of time and money to go here, just as well as going to any other school. And you guys could totally work in this industry just by doing this. Doing this radio show is awesome. It's fun. It's informative. We get to share stories of our own and other people's with you guys. And I hope that at the end of the day, we can inspire you guys to continue on what you're doing, to move on to another program, keep supporting the Ohio Media School, and become a good product of it, and show, hey, I went here and this is what I did, because a lot of people like myself and Fred Wheeler and a lot of other people that go here have turned what they've got from here into something else. So I just wanted to shout out to the Ohio Media School, because I wouldn't have almost 100,000 followers if I did not know how to work my social media, which I learned by doing everything here at the school. They taught me how to brand myself. They taught me how to use the analytics within social media to be able to grow a following. So all those things that they teach you are really important, and definitely pay attention and utilize it. You know, and if anybody else is interested in the Ohio Media School, if you are in this industry, you want to be a DJ, you want to be an actor, you want to learn how to TV broadcast or radio broadcast, this is a good place for you to learn how to do it. And I'm not sitting here trying to sell or anything, but I just really wanted to take a moment and say thank you to you guys. We only have an episode left here. Tomorrow will be our last episode. We have DJ Caper from the UK. She's going to be calling in. And then we'll still have a radio show for you guys. It just won't be with WDG. I'm sure we'll be back and we'll do some more episodes with them for you guys. But anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to us. My social media is Zayne Richard Simpson on all platforms, or DJ Zayne Richard Simpson. Check out our videos, our podcasts. Any questions, anything we can do to help or inspire you guys, to take you guys to the next level. That's what I'm here for. So I love you guys. I greatly appreciate the support. I'm happy to have my beautiful fiance on this show with me, and creating something, and like I said, being able to inspire and inform everybody here, and hopefully put you in a position to do the same here in the near future. Once again, thank you guys very much for tuning in. You're listening to the Zayne and Carlee Project on WDG Underground Columbus, home of the unsigned artists. Keep your heads up. Follow your dreams.
We love you. We love you. We believe in you. You can do it. Okay?
Never give up, guys. Keep it going. Love you guys. Peace.
surgery, baby.
Oh, your loving consumes every part of my body, baby. Kisses and touch bring the sun when it's cloudy and rainy, baby. Pure emotions just taking control of my body whenever you're near me.
Feel the rush escalate as the moves and surrounds me. I want you sincerely, activating all of my emotions.
Activating all of my emotions.
Activating all of my emotions. Emotions. Sensima. Now you be the girl for the keys to my bima. Bindi the map. But now you bring the light while my tears cover me from the fears when I shiver. Don't quiver, she tell me don't quiver. I'll be by your side anytime. Then I mean always ever mine. Every day.
Loving consumes every part of my body, baby. Kisses and touch bring the sun when it's cloudy and rainy, baby.
Girl, your love, it do me journey for body, my body, baby. And every time when we there, I think how you search, my search, baby.